Welcome to the Leading Conversations podcast, sponsored by the Excel Leadership Network. On each episode, JD Pairing will have conversations with church planting pastors and leaders from around the country. You can learn more about how to connect with Excel at the end of this podcast. Let's join JD now and listen in on this leading conversation.
Welcome to another podcast with Leadership Network, Excel Leadership Network. This is the Leading Conversations podcast, and today we have the wonderful, the amazing Brent. Brent is here. Brent Warren, BW, all the way from. Now, tell us where you are, Brent. Tell us where you are.
JDP. We're in the middle of absolutely nowhere. Panhandle, Texas. Not to be mistaken with the Panhandle. We're in the Panhandle, but it's Panhandle, Texas.
Okay, I'm looking at a map here. The Panhandle of Oklahoma is not as big as the Panhandle of Texas.
Well, nothing in Oklahoma is as big or as good as it is in Texas. That's a true story.
Hey, let's just go to the beginning and tell us how you grew up and how you came to Christ. Can you do that?
Of course. My mom fled with my little brother and me when I was about 3.5 years old, had an alcoholic, abusive father, and took us to live with my grandparents, who were godly people. And so from a very early age, raised in the church.
Do you remember that at all?
No, yeah, no, very slightly. So I have some scary memories of my biological. And then of course I remember living with my grandparents, in their little house. But I remember some of the good and the bad, but for sure.
Okay, at 3.5. So you went to live with your grandparents.
Yeah. So in church all the time. My grandfather was a deacon, and they just taught me the word of God and still Jesus and prayed over me. And so gave my life to Jesus pretty sincerely. I mean, for a 9-year-old, when I was 9, that obviously was, confirmed or strengthened later in life. But then my mom remarried when I was 7 to my stepfather, who, by the way, my brother and I called him Dad on their first date. So he was kind of sucked into that, but it worked out great. They were married for 41 years till he passed in 17. So.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you came to Christ at 9, you're in church. Where did the call to ministry come in?
Yeah, I had a youth worker. Youth camps were a big deal at my home church. It's a large church, and so I had a youth worker, my Sunday school director, I think, who told me before camp, "Hey, Brent, there's a big decision you need to make this week." And I honestly, JD, the only thing I cared about at 13 was who I was going to make out in the prayer garden with. You know what I mean? But it turned out, Thursday night of camp that year, I heard loud and clear the call on my life to serve in the ministry. No idea how or what, but and then I pursued that for a while after high school. Moved to Wichita Falls, worked at a great church there, and was an intern there. Started dating a girl. Resigned that internship, and then she didn't want to be a pastor's wife at all, and which is fair. But we dated, got engaged, and I had this wrestle with God about that, literally on a mountaintop, and where I was yelling at God, what do you want from me? I want to serve you, but my fiance doesn't want to be a pastor's wife. So what do I do? And anyway, I just heard him loud and clear say, "This is what I want for you." And went back and even told her, "I love you. I want to spend the rest of my life with you, but I have to be obedient to God and follow him." And she confirmed that. She said, "I agree. I know that about you." And so we stepped into that. world together, started seminary and youth minister, and then a youth pastor, and then a pastor. And yeah, so God's been good all along.
Wow, that's just, I still have this thought of you in the garden making out. That's just was like that's what you wanted to do at 13. I'm not sure I knew what girls were when I was 13. So you're faster moving.
Pretty high on the priority chart, that's for sure.
At 13. Hey, well, talk about church planting. I know you've planted a couple churches. So what caused you to go in that direction?
Yeah, well, so initially, the first church plant that I was involved in was in Dallas. I was pastoring a church, felt a unique vision, or what I thought was a unique vision, about how the church should look, and walked away from the church I was pastoring to start a church called Grace Point in Dallas. Ended up with a launch team of about 70 people, and was going really, really well. People coming to Christ, baptism of adults and children alike, and then the girl I married, my first wife, said, I can't do this anymore. I think the expectations were too great, or the pressure she might have felt was too great, and so she left. We were separated. I was devastated, brokenhearted, and really thought I was done with ministry. Trying to figure out life and what was next. Walked away from the church, and so within 2 months, JD, I lost the church that I had planted. Walked away from that, and then obviously lost my wife, and applied to the Dallas Police Department, was going to be a motorcycle cop, thought that'd be pretty cool. Just didn't know. I was wandering, just didn't know. Fast forward about 3 years.
Well, let's back up. Didn't you,
Okay.
I think you told me once that you moved in with somebody who was pretty helpful for you,
Well, yeah, so what happened is I didn't move in with him, but a good friend of mine, Moses Caesar, that's his real name. I was dating a lot, just trying to find myself and replace what had been lost. And man, Moses stepped into my life and just was a great encourager, and told me, Brent, stop dating. God is not done with you. And then I started having coffee with the pastor that had ordained me. I was in a much healthier place, but he was saying, God's not done with you. Keep going. Wait for the Lord. Be strong. Wait for the Lord. And after coffee, one of those days, I text him, I guess about a week later, and said, hey, by the way, if your daughter's not seeing anybody, you should put a good word in for me. And crickets, man, no response at all. And so I thought, man,
you're a pretty bold guy there, Brent.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it was bold. It was bold. But he didn't respond at all. So I texted him about a week later and said, hey, by the way, if I crossed a line, forgive me. Your daughter's hot. And no, I said, your daughter's beautiful. She loves Jesus. And he said, you should invite her to coffee. So I did. 11 dates in the first 2 weeks. We were crazy about each other. But she said on date number 4, I'll never forget this. She said, my dream is to be a partner in ministry with my husband. And I had never known that. I'd never experienced that. And it was fuel, man. It was fuel for my jet. And so just sent me to a place of abiding and seeking the Lord. Yeah.
Wow. So then you jump back into ministry.
Yes, sir. With Paul Mintz over at TCAL. He opened the door and let me come on part-time. And then a church in Nashville.
Let's talk about Paul for a second. Tell me
That's so much fun.
Something about Paul.
Something about Paul? The closest talker I've ever known in my life. I mean, he tickle your nose hairs when he breathes. He gets really close. And no, I love that because he's so personal, so intimate, and it's not like a total space invader. I mean, he just really cares about you when he talks to you. And I love that about him. And he was a great friend during that time.
Paul's a great friend all the time, as far as I know. So anyway, so you went to work with Paul.
Yep. And then a church in Nashville reached out to me. I had preached a youth camp and came back from that youth camp and told Ashley, we were married at that time, and I said, I would do youth ministry again in a heartbeat, but nobody's going to want a 41-year-old divorced guy. And then I get a call from Nashville from a friend at a great church there who said, "Hey man, come lead a student ministry and help me launch a second campus of a church there." And anyway, we were there, went and did that, fell in love with it, and then out of that, reconnected with you, and transformation ministry at the time, and went and did a discovery center. Heard God loud and clear tell us, at least in the near future, we were going to plant. And so we began that preparation, moved back to Fort Worth, and prepared to launch Restoration Church there.
Talk a little bit about that. Talk about the second plant, second time around.
Yeah, super difficult actually, and partly because I had brought a good friend on to be kind of my right-hand guy. They had picked up their family, moved from Florida, and that was really hard work for me, for us. And you guys had even warned me about that relationship, and said it's going to be difficult or taxing. But I didn't believe you. I didn't think you guys knew him like I did. And he's a super intelligent, organized, brilliant, gifted guy. But it was not healthy at times. And so we struggled, kind of butt heads, and I kind of let him go during that process. And so it felt like a lot of struggle. I had a worship pastor who had an affair with his wife, and just a lot of things that I just wasn't prepared for. And so we closed the doors after about 3.5 years on that. A lot of regrets about that, but got to go to a supporting church in an associate pastor role. So God just always provided.
Can you talk just maybe about one of the regrets? I don't want to push back too hard, but we need to hear some of this stuff. So
no, it's so good. I mean, the chief regret, and it's so obvious now, but I got wise counsel from you guys, a bunch of men, women, Lori, Paring including, who I really trusted, and you guys were all saying, don't hire him, don't bring him, don't do this with him. And so yeah, I had big regrets about not listening to wise counsel on that, for sure, because I thought I knew better. I was wrong.
Yeah, okay. But that's not the end.
Nope.
Churches all have a life cycle. Then you get involved in another church.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And then last summer, get a call from a search firm, Vanderbloemen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. They were looking for a senior pastor here at the river, and we had used Vanderbloemen at the previous church to hire a family pastor. So I built a relationship with Eric, the consultant, and so he told the river, he goes, "I think I know just the guy for y'all." And we came out and visited with them, and we were driving away from Panhandle going, "What a great church, amazing people. We love what God is doing or will be doing there, but we don't want to live in Panhandle, Texas." It felt wrong for us. And so, man, we had to drive home and pray, seek the Lord, but God confirmed in both of us, just gave us complete harmony, Ashley and me, that this is exactly where he wanted us. And so, yeah, last November 13th, they called and we said yes.
What do you do in Panhandle, Texas? What are the highlights? What's the nightlife? What do you do?
Yeah, well, there's not much to do. I mean, Friday night lights, so football season
Okay.
rolls around, that's helpful. And our girls basketball team is really, really good. Yeah. So if you're into girls basketball, that's fun. But honestly, JD, I mean, if you're into hunting, there's great hunting all around here. Deer and antelope and dove season is a big deal out here. But I'll tell you what I really love, being a Jeep driver, Jeeper. Um, Man, there's so many country roads out here, and I can get out. There's canyons and beautiful river lakes that run through the canyon up north of here. And man, I'm all over the place off road. But I can also, I love this from our little town. I can watch the sunrise and watch the sunset across cornfields and cotton fields. It's oddly beautiful.
That's wonderful. That's great. If you're driving that Jeep, you were a professional driver for many years. Yeah, give me one story because I know I've heard you tell a lot of stories. What's your best story about driving?
Um, yeah, I got to drive some great vehicles. That's for sure. Lamborghinis and Rolls Royce or whatever. But I would say, um, I got a call one night to go drive Roger Staubach, who had been my boyhood idol. I mean, I remember as a little kid wearing I'm sorry, number 12 Dallas Cowboy, outfits on Halloween. And I would drive Roger Staubach around in his Mercedes Sprinter van one night. And at the end of the night, I drop him off at his house and I said, Mr. Staubach, I hope I've been professional, courteous, or whatever. And he goes, Brent, you did great. And so when Roger Staubach called me by my name, I melted. Dude, I melted. It's my boyhood hero. And so I said to him, well, thank you, because the 7-year-old in me has been going nuts all night long. So he laughed, I laughed. It was a great night.
I grew up a Ram fan, and Roger Staubach always beat them. So
Yep.
I don't appreciate you treating him well. You should have given him a harder time.
It's your fault for being a Rams fan.
That's true. That's true. I own that. Hey, you've been around for a while. You've had some wonderful ups. You've had some hurts. You're still in the game. You're still out there plugging away. Give us a leadership tip or two. What would you say? Somebody who's been there, done that.
Sure. So when I was planting that first church there in Dallas, I hired a good friend to come over and kind of be executive pastor, if you will, and and I learned kind of the hard way just about um, um, meeting expectations for the people that you serve and that you work with or that you lead. Um, and she left that church to go do something else, and we were kind of, it was friendly when she left. And then I caught up with her years later, and just sent her an email and said, "Hey, just checking in. I hope you're doing great. I miss you." And she wrote me back, um, JD, and said, "Brent, I consider our friendship a thing of the past." She said, "You failed me in these 4 areas: urgency, leadership, communication, and follow through." And it stuck like a knife, because it was so painful. But it also transformed the way I lead others, care about others, and put um, put people before process or program. That I know that can be a bit of a cliche, um, but for me, it's so real because I never want to get that email, that letter again. Urgency, leadership, communication, and follow through. And so those are pillars for me in leading.
Wow, that's really good. So thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing that story. Brett, hey, I want you to know I believe in you. In you and Ashley. I'm delighted that you're back in the first chair again. Not that that's a place everybody's got to be, but I know that's the place that you should be right now. I'm delighted you're in a great church. I don't know about Panhandle. I don't know if I'm going to come up and visit in the Panhandle.
You should. You'd love it.
Maybe you could drive down to Dallas, or we can have Mexican food in Albuquerque sometime. But
It feels just like Northern California, exactly the same.
I'm sure it is. Yeah, the hunting is not real big in my neighborhood. Well, it probably is. That's just
You just don't do it, right?
But I just really appreciate you. I consider you a friend. I look at you as somebody who, hey, you're serving the Lord, and He's in charge. And thanks for staying in the game. Thanks for doing what you're doing. Thanks for being with us today.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me, JDP. Love you, buddy.
Love you too. God bless.
Thanks for joining the Leading Conversations podcast. We hope that you found it both helpful and encouraging. At Excel Leadership Network, our focus is on the church planter rather than the church. If you'd like to find out more about us, visit our webpage at excelnetwork.org. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss any future episodes. See you next time with another Leading Conversation.